Hi, folks. Hope you're doing well. I'm just in the process of watching one of these RSS videos, and it looked like an interesting one. It's am I the a hole for making my young daughter live on the streets? Now, that title is very misleading to say the least, as they often are in these videos, because the daughter doesn't have to live on the streets. I will link the video in so you can see it anyway, but it's quite a good one. There's some stories in this one. It's like, what? Really? Jesus, the stupidity of it. There is some incredible stupidity. So, yeah. So on this one, basically, single mother, the husband had died. Single mother. Her younger daughter showed her a video of her slightly older daughter, a 16-year-old, having a real go at a homeless man. Really having a go at him, telling him that he's on the streets because he gets all this money, but he uses it for drugs, etc., etc. And that really, the fact he's on the streets means he's camping. And a lot of people love camping, so what is he moaning about? So the mother lost it. She made the daughter go and apologise and pay for a hotel for that homeless person for the night. She also locked the daughter's bedroom and pitched a tent in the garden. Gave the daughter some thermal bedding to make sure that she had the option. You either sleep outside tonight or you have no phone until after Christmas. And the daughter went with the I'll sleep outside. So, of course, in the morning, the daughter was very upset about the situation. She woke up in the cold. And the mother said to the daughter, well, would you like to do that every day? Like the homeless man. And the daughter then cried. She felt incredibly ashamed of the way that she behaved towards that homeless man. She suddenly understood a bit of empathy. And then she decided she would cook a big meal and take it to the homeless people in the area. Now, I was doing a video the other night about consequences, about the fact we need to learn consequences and we need to make sure that consequences are something that are right up there for people to focus on. To understand that there are consequences to our behaviours and to the way we do things and the things we say. There are always going to be consequences to that. What we do and what we say are seeds that are sown, and they're going to come back, basically. Now, that's a principle that Christians should understand, because when the Lord tells a story of the sower and sowing the seeds, so we should understand that what we do are seeds that are sown, and they will come back. And that was a good story of that. And so, obviously, the mother's saying, am I the a-hole for doing that? Clearly not, because your daughter learned an incredibly valuable lesson from it. Didn't hurt her. It actually helped her. So that was a fantastic example of how consequences can help. How people can learn from such a thing. But some of the other ones, oh, geez. Some of the other stories. Wow. The next story is where a lady, it was on her wedding day, one of the guests' son decided he would go for a swim in the lake, even though he couldn't swim. And so he died. Now, that's parental responsibility gone completely wrong there. Because obviously the parents weren't being responsible for their child. The parents didn't also teach their child, if you can't swim, don't go jumping in the lake, because you're going to drown. So, a year later, the married woman puts a thing on Facebook on the anniversary of her wedding. Celebrating her marriage. Of course, then the mother and the family of this boy who died get outraged completely about this and start kicking off a massive storm. Well, the lady then finds out that actually her husband's family also agree with this, and her husband's family think that they should do the wedding again because of what happened, because of that tragedy. And that the husband's family don't consider that her husband and her are actually married because of that. That they're going to have to do another wedding, but the family will put up with them living in sin until then. The utter stupidity of it. And of course, the husband hates arguing with his family, so he's probably going to be saying, yeah, no worries, we do this. Complete lack of understanding. Basically, what they're talking about is a reception, doing a reception again, not the wedding. Because a marriage is the agreeing of two people to give their lives to each other and the signing of the piece of paper, which is the legal bit. The reception isn't the marriage. That's a celebration of the marriage. You might want to do that again, but what was the first story? There was a first story. I've forgotten what the first story was. Good point. Oh, yeah. Father, single father, with a young daughter, and he's saying, is he the a-hole for refusing to go to Christmas dinner with his sister because his sister called CPS on him. Now, it ends up the sister called CPS on him because he was trying to teach his daughter to take responsibility and to do some things herself. Yeah. To learn, to grow, to develop. And she thought that this was a bit out of order because she, to his sister, to a certain degree, was trying to be second mum to his daughter. And she wanted to be doing all this stuff. But because he did it, and he basically told his sister to keep her nose out of it, she called CPS on him. So now he's got a record with CPS because of the visit. And so his family's basically saying, yeah, his sister's sorry, she knows what she did was wrong, but can you just come to Christmas dinner with your daughter? And he's saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pretend that what she did was okay. I'm sorry, you want to get over it, but no. Quite often you find this on these sort of things, is that one family member does something outrageous to another. Like in so many of them, you have examples where a brother will steal their brother's wife, have an affair with her, and then when they get divorced, he then marries her. And so basically break up his brother's marriage. And after about a year, the family's saying, come on, get over it. Excuse me. No, let's just get over it, crap. Unless you've been through it, how can you say get over it? You have no idea. That's what I've said in videos. You can't be looking at people and saying, oh, they should be getting over this. I would have got over this so much quicker. You've never been in their shoes. If you've never been in their shoes, you can't judge them. So stop thinking or trying to. Stop telling people they need to forgive. Unless you've been through that, how are you going to know how it takes to do that? Especially if you're in that situation. Now, I can't remember in the first story if his wife had died. I think his wife had died. But his sister had never got on with his wife. So she'd always been a pain in the butt. So now she's continuing to be a pain in the butt. So you can understand the bloke saying, I don't want nothing to do with this woman anymore. He actually told her after she'd done it, you're not my sister anymore. I want nothing to do with you. And so the family then saying, well, you overreacted. Excuse me? That's not for you to say. It's fine. If that person wants to have a conversation with you or starts the conversation with you, asking you, what do you think about how I reacted? Then you can offer your opinion to say, well, I think you might have overreacted a bit. Otherwise, keep your opinions to yourself. You're not going to be helping, are you, really? Again, consequences. The sister didn't think about the consequences of her actions. She thought it would be okay to do that because she's living in her own little stupid, ridiculous, blinking world where calling child protection services on someone because that person is trying to encourage their child to do some things themselves, like brush their own hair, make a sandwich, put their own laundry in the laundry basket, that sort of stuff. You call CPS about that? Really? Really? Yeah, I'm sorry, but the person is right. Your brother is therefore right to say that you shouldn't be in the knife at all. How on earth can he trust you after what you've just done? It's the same as, I say, when a brother ruins their brother's marriage by having an affair with his wife and then marrying his wife. That trust is broken. You've done probably the worst thing you could do to a loved one, to a brother. Your blood, you're not supposed to do that. Same as a sister is not supposed to do that to her brother. That's vindictive. Vindictive, nasty sort of crap. And you don't do that to family. There are consequences to that. The consequences are you lose. You lose out. That's the way it is. You lose. Consequences. And that's the thing, consequences in action. And if you look at a lot of these videos, these Reddit ones, they're all consequences in action, really. Well, there's one here done a month ago. If I can get that. Caught my girlfriend on the act with my brother. I exposed them on our anniversary instead of proposing. Yeah. When that sort of thing happens, it's not just, this man doesn't just say to his girlfriend, right, bye-bye, I won't be seeing you again. He's going to say it to his brother as well. And now, quite likely, you're going to have issues in the family where family members are going to be turning against one of you, turning against you for not forgiving your brother, turning against your brother for what he did to you. Consequences. There are consequences to the things we do. People just don't want to think about consequences, but they're always going to be. It's just that quite often you don't see the consequences close by, and you don't. But there always will be. And that's why I've been talking about the fact of repenting and about the fact of sin isn't the same as breaking the law as a crime. Because there are a lot of things that aren't crimes. What these people do on Reddit to each other, to family members, they're not crimes to do that. Not crimes according to the world system, but they're crimes according to God's system. So they're a sin, but they're not a crime. And there are so many other things that are a sin, but not a crime. And unless you understand that, you've committed sins, but because they're not a crime according to the laws of your land, you don't ever repent of them because you don't think there's going to be a consequence to that. And if there isn't, which is quite often the case, you die with sin, and therefore you go to spend eternity in hell because of some stupid things you did. that you could easily have repented of had you just realised that they were sin. And that's why we need to understand consequences, because when we understand there are consequences to the things we do and say, then we understand that what we can do and say can be wrong. And if it's wrong, then we need to repent of those things. We need to stop doing them because the consequences are going to affect us. And they always, always, always do. That's the reality. So I will put the link of this video and say it does a good job of explaining that point of consequences. It's brilliant. It does a good job. So it talks about things in a more practical way of why we need to understand about consequences and why we need to think about consequences before we act. Why we need that little part of our brain to think, is this wise to do this? What could this cost me if I do this? Yeah, I'm married, so should I have an affair? Well, what could I lose if I do? Well, if you're thinking, what can I lose if I do? You probably wouldn't do it, would you? You probably wouldn't do it. Not in any way, shape, or form. If you have a brother who's married and you fancy his wife and his wife is coming on to you, again, if you think about the consequences, you probably wouldn't do it. You will probably stay away from that woman for the rest of your life. You get evidence and you provide the evidence to your brother. But you would stay away. You certainly wouldn't spend any time with that person on your own. Because you would know, hold it, this is bad news, and there are things here that could seriously implode my life. I don't want that. But people really don't want to look at the possibility of there being consequences to their behavior. And quite often when there are consequences, like someone who's cheated, when they're faced with the consequences, they are absolutely distraught. And quite often amazed that there's going to be consequences to their behavior. So, yeah, of course. If you do A, then B is a likely consequence of that, That's the reality. That's likely to be the case. So, if you understand that, you wouldn't do A, would you? You'd say, no, I'm not going to do that. There you go. That'll do you. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.